Hello again, I'm Doug Smith, and welcome to the 2 March 2018 edition of Portsmouth This Week. I'm Doug Smith, your host, and our special guest today is Jessica Lynch. Jessica is the new Water District Manager for Portsmouth. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I wonder if we could get started by talking a little bit about your background, your personal background, which I think is fascinating, and your professional background.
Sure, I'd love to. So I grew up in the town of Portsmouth. I've lived here almost all of my life, graduated from Portsmouth High School. From there, I went to the University of New Hampshire for civil engineering. I was really lucky. While I was there, I was offered a job at CDM in Manchester, and I just decided, why not go for it and see where it takes me. I worked in Manchester, New Hampshire for a year, and then I was lucky to transfer to Providence, where I worked for 12 years.
Okay, now what does CDM do?
CDM is a consulting firm, so we do a lot of different things. We work on water, wastewater, stormwater, permitting, almost anything in the environmental and civil fields.
Okay, so it has some relation into
Yes,
what you're doing
yep.
now. Yeah, that's great. I think your family story is very interesting too. And both of your kids go to high school in Portsmouth, or go to school in Portsmouth.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's great. That's always good to see someone from Portsmouth to make good, and we feel like you've done that here. Now, when you work for CDM, is it CDM Smith? Is that what it is?
So, yes, it's CDM Smith. It was originally CDM. They had, they incorporated a company, so.
Okay, and what kind of work did you do there?
I actually was very lucky. I got to work on a lot of different types of projects. I worked on water, I worked on wastewater, I did some cemetery work, trash. Really, I kind of jumped into whatever I could get my hands on. I think it's important to get experience in as much as you can. I also was very lucky to work with different cities, towns, municipalities, so I got to meet a lot of people, work with different vendors and subcontractors. The things that relate to what I do at Portsmouth Water is the water design I did in regards to water treatment, water mains. I worked on piloting for the city of Newport, different permits, that sort of thing.
All right. So you actually had experience on the island with that.
I did.
Some of those things. That's great. It sounds like you have a perfect background for the job. What are your duties? What do you do every day as the general manager of Portsmouth Water District?
So every day could be completely different. In your head you go in and say, today I'm going to work on the budget, or I'm going to work on this report, but really kind of whatever comes up. The main goals, I guess, of the job would be to ensure the compliance of the Rhode Island Department of Health rules and regulations, advise and make recommendations to our administrative board, general management of distribution and office. I review and prepare engineering reports. We review any water main extensions that are requested in the town, and anything else kind of that comes up on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Now, are you in the field at all, looking at stuff? Or?
I do go in the field sometimes. That's more of the operations side, but I like to go out and see what the guys are doing. I think it's really important, to work as a team together.
Yeah. I thought it interesting that the water district does not come under the town government, and I guess my question is, why is that?
So the Water District was created as a quasi-municipal governmental agency by the Rhode Island General Assembly. We were created to obtain and maintain water supply for the district for domestic use and fire flow. It's kind of nice to be our own separate entity. The town doesn't have to worry about this. We do work together, and we work together well, but we do work together separately.
Yeah, it just seems that, how do most towns have it like this, or?
No, but there are some. There's different, Bristol County, Lincoln, I believe. I think there's about 5. I don't know all of them off the top of my head.
And there are some that is part of the municipal government.
There are,
yeah.
Yes. Yep.
One of the reasons I asked that is because, and we'll talk about the bills and the fees and all this kind of stuff in a minute. How many employees do you have?
We have 13 full-time employees. We have a part-time employee who actually retired from the town just to come in and help the office. You know, it can be busy at certain times of the month. We also try to hire an intern from a local college to get us some help, but also get some experience for them.
Yeah. Are your staff unionized, or is...
We are not union. We have office staff, we have distribution staff, we have an accountant, and a GIS and engineering technician.
Yeah. What is your area? What area does the water board control? Is it just the island? I mean, just Portsmouth?
Yes. So Portsmouth Water District is basically almost all of the water located on Aquidneck Island. We do not service Redwood Farms, Raytheon, Bayview, or the Melville area. That would be the city of Newport.
How did that ever happen? I mean, it's like a lot of decisions made back when, but...
those areas were connected to the city of Newport prior to,
that makes sense.
you know, the district had come out to that side of town.
Yeah. Now, Prudence Island, I know, is having a water quality problem. Do you service?
We
Prudence
do
Island?
not service Prudence Island. They actually have their own small water district. They are on a well system.
Oh, their own wells. Is
They
that
are.
the source of their problem, probably? What is it, some kind of something in the water?
I don't know too much about their specific issue, but wells can have issues. A lot of times wells have high manganese and iron, and you know, it's additional treatment and an additional expense to deal with.
I guess the other thing that's interesting is where we get our water from. You know, where does basically it seems to me it comes from essentially rain and things going into those reservoirs, right?
It does, yep. So we are serviced through various reservoirs. We get, as we kind of said, we get all of our water from the city of Newport, and they have 2 treatment plants, one located right here in Portsmouth, and then another plant in Newport. They have a system of 9 reservoirs that are interconnected through piping. Our water specifically comes from Portsmouth, Little Compton, and Tiverton reservoirs.
Okay. Portsmouth, you mean the Lawton Reservoir?
We have
there?
Lawton Valley, St. Mary's.
Yeah. And
Sisson's
we also still get
Ponds.
things across the river, or under the river, I guess.
We do. There's a pipeline. I believe they have 2 pipelines that run under the river and connect to the reservoirs. So the water comes from the various reservoirs. Newport can choose which reservoir they want to bring into the plant. Our water is treated at the Lawton Valley plant. It's the brand new plant located on West Main Road. It's a really wonderful facility.
Yeah,
they did a
we
great
got a tour
job.
through there last year, I think. Very interesting place.
It's definitely an amazing facility to go check out. They do a great job there. Their treatment techniques are excellent. They have advanced treatment to help, you know, provide even better quality water.
Okay, so everything that we use goes through the Lawton Valley plant
Yes.
to purify it or whatever happens to it and stuff. And that includes the water from, like you say, what, Little Compton and Tiverton or
Yes.
something?
Yep.
Yeah. I've always wondered what would happen if we had a drought, you know, in New England. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
We don't see any
So we
outflow.
actually do have a backup supply. We can get water from Tiverton as well. We have a separate pipeline that runs under the Sakonnet River that's owned by the district. We can buy water from them as a backup. There's been talk about potentially looking at different options as far as wells and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But with all this rain right now, we're looking pretty good.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. I hope it builds up. The climate seems to be changing somewhat in terms of what kind of weather we get. And it's just a thought, but I thought if we had a drought, then Tiverton would also have a drought.
Could be.
But I guess
yes.
there are other reservoirs elsewhere that we could tap into as well.
You know, we always try to promote conservation when the reservoirs are low in the summer. It's important to try to conserve where we can so we have the water available when we need it.
Yeah. We put fluoride in our water, right?
We do. Well, Portsmouth District does not, but Newport adds water. It's at 7.7 parts per million.
But that's our water that we
Yes,
get.
yeah.
Okay, right. Because I guess Newport controls the operation of
They do, yes.
of the treatment plant. Why do I get two different bills
So
from the water board?
we have a quarterly water consumption bill, so that's based on what you use on a daily basis.
Okay.
You'll notice a difference usually between winter and summer if you're watering your gardens or that sort of thing. Additionally, we have taxing authority. We provide a once yearly tax bill. It usually goes out in the fall.
Okay, that's once a year?
It is.
Okay, it's just for some reason, my wife asked me to ask why we do it this way. It's just gotten complicated, it seems like, over the last couple of years. To get more than, kind of one bill, and it's all relating to water. So when did all this stuff come into effect?
Well, we've been taxing for as long as I know. We
Yeah.
were granted taxing authority by the General Assembly, and the goal was to help us create, operate, and maintain our system for domestic use as well as fire flow. It's important because it gives us a stable revenue stream. It's about 13% of our revenue, especially being that, due to weather, our water sales and purchases can quite vary. It's important to have that. It also gives us an option to help us get general obligation bonds, which helps us save money. So
Yeah, I think that it became real noticeable a couple of years ago when the water treatment plant came online, and all this money that was put into that got distributed to everybody in the within the district, and the prices went up essentially big
Yeah.
time.
yes, so we buy all of our water from Newport, and our rates are based on what they charge us. Those treatment plants came at a cost. I think the final cost was a debt service of $80 million loan that they have to pay the debt service on, and we are required to help them with that because that's our main source.
Sure. Now, is there somebody in the Newport district that you relate to, or?
Julia Forge runs their water system. They are a little bit different because they have water and sewer. She oversees everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's the one that took us through the plant a couple of years ago. What is our current tax rate? Is it going up or down?
Our current tax rate is 21 cents per thousand. It actually went down 1 cent from last year. We tax based on the assessed property value that we receive from the town. So we take your assessed property value from the town, and it's 21 cents per thousand on that. So
Okay.
the bills are very reasonable, but it does provide quite a revenue stream for us.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is the water rates. In reading on your website what the water rates are and things. I guess what was interesting to me is that big users, people who use over 5,000 gallons, the actual price per gallon goes up rather than it goes down.
We do. Well, our goal is to try to promote conservation. We want people to conserve where they can. We only have so much water.
Yeah.
So it's important to, be smart about what you use. So we feel that it's best to have a cheaper rate, $7.21, from 1,000 to 5,000 gallons. That's important for, the older people who are struggling, the people who really are working to conserve water, and anything over that is $10.70.
Yeah, how does this
per
work
thousand.
for farms, for example? We have a few farms that are still active here.
So if farms choose, they can have an interruptible service rate. So what that basically means is if we're in a drought condition, they agree to be interrupted if necessary, and that buys them a $1 credit. So it's $9.71 per thousand.
Okay, so they get a better rate
Yes.
than the usual. That's probably a good thing. You've only been in the job now for what, 4 months, something like that?
I started in June, so
Oh, wow, okay. So
but on my own about 4 months.
Yeah.
I worked with Bill. We had an overlap of a little over 5 months, which was extremely helpful. I have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas, but it's different, and you're dealing with different things, so it's nice to learn from the cream of the crop who's been there for 30 years.
Yeah. By the way, where is Bill Mcclain?
Bill is in Florida right now.
Oh.
He's enjoying his retirement.
Has he moved down there?
He has moved down there. I think he'll be back in the summer to enjoy, the nice New England summers.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
For the winter, he'll be in Florida.
Well, good for him. I guess, does it seem kind of strange to come back to a town that you grew up in, and you went away to college and you studied this and then you worked elsewhere in the field and then you come back? I mean, you still have people that you went to high school with in the community.
I love it. I think it's really great to be able to, work in the community that you grew up in and love. It's fun to run into people, and it's fun to learn more about the system. Living here, you go to college, you go to high school, you don't really spend too much time learning the ins and outs of the water system.
Right.
So it's very interesting to get into that and be a part of the town.
Yeah. If people need to talk to you about or have questions or something, or talk to somebody in your staff, who do they call? What do they do?
People can come into our office. Sometimes people like to come in and pay their bills or come in with questions. That's fine. They can always call our office. Our number is 683-2090. We also have an informational email that they can reach out to. It's info@portsmouthwater.org. And one of the most important ways would be to go on our website. There's a lot of great
you have a very good
information
website.
on our website. We've been really working hard to update it and provide more information and just more documents for people to be able to find.
Yeah. I guess we're coming into a summer. We have no idea what it's going to be like, whether it's a scorcher or not. What do people need to know about how we're ready to handle all this stuff? Or you guys feel like everything's, and we're getting a good storm, which should give us a good supply at least for a while. What do people need to know about going into the summer? Is there anything special?
Right now, there's nothing special. We always keep an eye on, the levels of the reservoirs, and if we feel that there's an issue, we'll let people know. We might limit usage. People need to use water on a daily basis, but it's always important to try to conserve where you can. Be smart about your water usage, when you're using it, the times of day, the days. Don't leave your sprinklers on all day. That sort of thing. That goes a long way. Being prepared and smart about your usage.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think back to the old days when water was cheap and you didn't even really think too much about watering your yard all day. But the bottom line is nothing's that cheap anymore. And speaking of that Lawton Valley plant, do they ever do public tours of that or anything?
Not that I know of. I think that would maybe be a security concern.
Yeah. Like I say, we were lucky. We got shown through there when it first went operational. I can't remember the date, but all that stuff's up on the town website and listed under our programs. And we got a tour through this thing. And it was really fascinating to see, number one, the volume of things.
Yeah.
And also the way that chemicals and things are added to the water and tested constantly and all this other stuff. I just think it'd be, even if they had an informational video, it'd be kind of cool for people to see what is done to our water.
It's very interesting. Newport did an excellent job with their new plants. They have advanced treatment, which is not a common thing, but because our source water can be difficult to treat, it gives them another option to add, to give us the best water possible. And I would definitely urge people to at least watch your video. I can certainly reach out to the city and see if they have
Yeah, it
any
might be worth
informational
asking
videos.
Yeah. And the security, I guess, seemed reasonably good up there. And that's something we have to think about all the time now. When you guys are looking at pollution, for example, in some of our small streams and other things that come in, how does that work? Does it all get filtered out as it comes into the plant, and then the plant actually adds purity to it somehow?
Well, so the plants add chemicals to help get the dirt, everything filtered out. Basically, it sinks to the bottom, then you go through the filters stuff out.
Okay.
We also usually add chlorine that kills bacteria. So, they keep a really close eye on the quality. Things are tested before, during, and after the processes to make sure that the regulations are met on a daily basis.
Yeah, it seems like, especially, you know, coming from farms where we had a lot of different pollutants, I guess you could say, you know, fertilizer, et cetera, and it would seem very easy for this to get somehow into the water supply. But as you say, it's filtered out first, and then it's purified and chemicals are added, et cetera.
There's lots of precautions taken, but that's always a concern.
Yeah.
You know, farm animals and fertilizers. So it's really important to be smart about the land usage around the reservoirs. I know a lot of places, including the city, really pays attention to what's happening around them. And, you know, quality is checked and confirmed before.
I know Newport's responsible for that because they run that. Your responsibility, I presume, is mostly on getting the water to the customer in Portsmouth through pipelines and things.
Yeah.
I know at one point I had a leak coming in from my water main, and those are things you have to really pay attention to because you don't know it's there until all of a sudden your water usage goes way up. I also noticed that, like my house has a automatic meter. I guess people can drive by or something. And
so we have a fixed point system. So what happens is we get the readings right into our office. So if I wanted to look up your account, I could see what you're using on an hourly basis, which is really great because for someone who has a leak, it's easy to catch right away, especially if it's a large leak, and be able to notify the customers. So what we are trying to do is get customers information, you know, phone number, email. Either they call in and give it to us, or they can provide it on our website through our billing system so that we can notify you if we see a leak or see something going on with your, you know, usage that isn't typical.
Yeah.
We do get a notification if it goes over a certain amount daily. So it's definitely something we reach out to people if we see something. You know, we don't want anyone to get a crazy water bill because they have a leak. It's, you know, we're still paying for the water, and I think it's important for us as well as the customers to keep an eye on what's happening.
now, one of the things that I haven't talked about yet or haven't asked about is how is the water district governed? In other words, you're the general manager. That's like being the town administrator, I guess, right? Who do you report to? And
So the district is governed by a 7-member administrative board. They're elected through an election process. The voters of the district vote. It's a rolling election, so it's held on the second Wednesday in June. And the first year, it's 2 board members elected, the next year 3, and then the third year 2 separate board members elected. And we have a monthly meeting. It's the third Tuesday every month at 7 p.m. So, you know, I report to the board and make recommendations and advise them.
okay, so you're essentially like the town manager, town administrator, and they're essentially like the town council. And how is anybody responsible to the public on this? I mean, I understand they're voted on, but how do people contact? Should they contact you guys first about any water-related problem or
Yes.
question?
How it works is they would reach out to us if they had a question or wanted to address the board with the matter, and I would review what they provided and, you know, prepare anything needed to give the board backup so they are knowledgeable on the issue or the question or what's going on.
Yeah. It's kind of a complex issue here because of Newport being involved, I guess. Do most places have kind of control over their water sources more than our system?
No, not necessarily. I mean, you have Providence Water who sells wholesale to a lot of the state of Rhode Island. Unfortunately,
So it's the way it's done
it's
generally.
just kind of, you know, wherever the water sources are and who owns them.
Yeah. Now, you say you went to University of New Hampshire and majored in civil engineering.
Civil engineering.
Just out of curiosity, how many women were in your class that did that?
There was probably maybe 6 out of 30, definitely
Yeah,
less than men. You can definitely see when I started at CDM, there was a lot more men than women, but as I moved through my career, there's definitely more women coming into the field.
Yeah, that's good. It seems to be the general trend too.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll get things squared away as it rolls into politics. I don't know. We'll see that. We got about 3 minutes left, and I just wondered if there's anything else you'd like to tell Portsmouth residents about the water supply or anything else.
I would just urge them to go on our website. As I said, we have a great website. We're working to improve it. We urge customers to pay their bills online. It's really easy to do. They can sign up and pay their water bills as well as their tax bills. They can do it so it will automatically come out of their account, or they can pay each quarter, whatever is preferred. But it's very easy. If they need assistance, they can gladly call and we can help them. Again, please send us your information so we can get it in our systems. So if we do find that you have a leak, we can contact you and let you know kind of what's happening.
Okay, that's great. Just in closing here, maybe we talk a little bit more about your family. I think it must be great to come back to your hometown, the high school you went to and graduated from, and have this kind of position. Are your parents still here? Or?
Yep, my parents still live in town. My mom actually teaches at the high school still.
Oh, that's great.
She taught there when I was growing up. So it's really nice to be close to home and, be near family and, run into people in town that you grew up with.
Sure. And
be able to put my kids back in the schools that I went to.
Yeah. That really must be great because, high school classmates, for example, must be cool when they say, well, what do you do? What are you doing now? Well, I'm the water district manager for Portsmouth. It's quite impressive, I think. Are you guys involved at all? Are your parents involved at all in historical things, like the Historical Society in Portsmouth?
They have not been.
Yeah. In a minute, I'm going to talk about an event we have coming up, but as you know, we have quite a fascinating history in Portsmouth that goes way back. And one of the things we're trying to do is get more people interested and involved in learning more about it. So I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. I want to thank you very much for coming in. And again, I think we all are very proud of you for coming back and being a Portsmouth person in a very important job.
Thank you.
And please continue. And I'd like to also invite you to come on the show whenever there's any news, anything's going on that you'd like people to know about. It's one way of getting the word out. It's one of the things we found out during the 375th celebration was that you had to use every possible avenue to get anybody to see things.
Yeah.
And one of the things we had to do was finally we put a sign over East Main Street that said 375th is going on. But thanks very much for coming, Jessica, and appreciate it. Let me turn to you folks for a second, just to let you know about this event that I mentioned. 2 years ago, we started Founders Day on the 7th of March, which is the day the Portsmouth Compact was signed back in 1638, and we're going to have a showing of the actual original 1638 document next Wednesday, the 7th of March, at Portsmouth Town Hall. It's free and open to the public. I hope you come down. Thank you very much.